Good morning, folks. Welcome to the Sunday sermon here at the Philosophy for Philistines channel. I'm going to speak off the cuff today. I don't need any notes. We live in an age of unprecedented bad ideas, and there's only one cure for bad ideas, and that's to replace them with good ones. As Ottawa heads into another total lockdown, the 2 weeks to flatten the curve have lasted over a year. We need to examine the proper function of government and examine why I don't believe there is a political solution to what is in fact not a political problem at all. But firstly, let's ask the question, what is a legitimate function of government? Legislators are elected to enact law, and that law has to function within the principles that govern constitutional laws, laws that govern us constitutionally. Namely, that they are limited in what their scope can be, that their main function and purpose must be to fulfill the function of the Constitution, and that the primary function of the Constitution is to allow the individual to flourish, free of excessive governmental interference. It is not the government's job to socially engineer its citizens. Only totalitarians would attempt to do such a thing, where everything is within the state and there's nothing outside of the state. And of course, in a constitutional democracy, such a notion is an impossibility. And yet here we are. That's why I don't believe that electing the right officials, electing the right members of parliament or members of provincial parliament can be a proper solution as government expands and interferes in every cloying aspect of our life. The ideas of the Age of Enlightenment, of individual sovereignty, of a government responsible to the people, are all but dead. And they have been replaced with mental pathogens that advocate a complete deconstruction of our cultural ethos. Our government has chosen a different path than, say, a completely totalitarian country like China chose. And since it didn't have immigrants coming in from outside, Mao had to attempt a cultural revolution there, which ended up murdering over 1 million people. But here, wave after wave of immigrant has been brought to Canada out of war-torn countries. People that do not share the Canadian cultural ethos and therefore cannot possibly understand limited constitutional government or Canadian mojo. So to take it back to first principles again, what are these ideas founded on? They are founded on concepts of liberty and freedom and the pursuit of economic freedom that came from the mother country and were developed here. Now we're told that we should feel ashamed for our cultural past. We're told that it has no value. And even the conservatives under O'Toole are marching to this postmodern deconstructive nonsense. It's time to get back to first principles and examine why we were once the freest, most liberal, and most open place on the face of the planet to have become in the grip of some self-loathing manifestation of cultural guilt and an unreasonable rejection of the heritage of our past, the failure to recognize that our ancestors were indeed products of their time, just as we are products of ours, and that the government's job is not to interfere with us on a social level. The most evil of all the social sciences is sociology, because it seeks to manipulate society writ large and turn it into its vision of some Nietzschean transhuman Ubermensch. Literally, we're being asked to transcend our own humanity. These ideas are pathological. They come straight out of cultural Marxist ideology of critical theory. The deconstructive element of this comes out of the French postmodern school of literary deconstruction. All of these things are an attack on our very cultural ethos. That's why politics cannot be the answer. Because these ideas, once society falls into the grip of them, will pollute and corrupt all of society. We need to resurrect the foundations of our liberty and take a long, hard look at how progress is to be made. As someone who is taught total quality, I understand that all improvement to a quality system, as in the movement toward total quality from the Ford production system, was incremental and evolutionary, never revolutionary. But what our government has done in this past year, since March of 2020, has been an attempt, a revolutionary attempt, at reconstructing society in a neo-Marxist image. The only thing that will stop this is by engaging our friends, our family, and our elected representatives in stopping this nonsense. Now, I'm old and I'm mean and I'm ticked off almost all the time because I cannot bear to see what's going on around me. But it's time that we stop people and ask what their opinion is. Ask if they too are concerned. I just stopped a young lady in the grocery store as I went to get my wife some prune juice. You know, we need these sort of things as we get into our daughterage. Turns out that she was a dental assistant, and she said that she's working in people's mouths all the time, and that they've seen no spike in COVID in their profession. And then I asked her, what's the goal of Marxism? It is to seize the means of production, control the distribution of resources, and silence those who complain. And she said, oh yes, this is scary. And I said, I promise you something, young lady, because she was a young mother. Over my dead body will this continue to infect my society. They have a saying in Norway, lovely saying, der mitt land. It is my country. This nation was founded on values that my ancestors brought here to create a freer and more liberal country than Great Britain was at that time, free of the ridiculous class structure that existed in Britain, where each man and woman could achieve based on their own merit, creating equality of opportunity, but not equality of outcome, because the cream must float to the top. Let's get back to a society where the cream floats back to the top. These are some things to pray about on a Sunday. God bless you all. Please share this video and engage in this discussion.